Right now on KDKA Saturday, a local apartment building goes up in flames. What firefighters were up against. Also ahead, a cold case murder may have been solved, but it's not the murder police thought they were dealing with. And a deadly nor'easter barrels up the East Coast, the path of destruction. KDKA-TV News starts right now.
Live from the KDKA Broadcast Center in downtown Pittsburgh, this is KDKA-TV Morning News.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to KDKA Saturday. I'm Amy Wattis in for Brenda Waters. John Burnett is here with a look at this weekend's forecast. Hello there, John.
Hey, Amy. Great to be here with you. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to see you on this Saturday morning.
My pleasure, trust me. And it is my pleasure to be here talking about what I've got to talk about, and that's some decent weather for a change. No more rain, no snow, no high winds. Temperatures probably not as mild as you'd like, but it's still March and winter, remember? So we're not doing too badly as we head through the weekend and into next week. Take a look right now. No severe weather on the map. That's a first. We have not had a completely clear severe weather map for the last week to 10 days. We've got it now, though, and it's going to stay that way through Monday and Tuesday, too. Here we are with a look at things clearing out nicely. There is still a bit of a storm off the eastern seaboard, but the key phrase being off the coast. It is no longer on the U.S. mainland. Fortunately, that huge nor'easter that did so much damage from the Delmarva Peninsula all the way to Maine is now out over the open ocean of the Atlantic. It's 25 right now in Pittsburgh with a northwest wind at 9. And here's your forecast focus. Good looking weekend, mostly sunny skies, seasonable temperatures, highs in the low to mid 40s. But if you like it milder than that, and I think most of us do, where do you see what's in store for Monday? It looks fabulous, and I'll have the details coming up. Amy?
Thanks, John. Looking forward to that. New details on a fire in a local apartment building. That fire broke out just after 10 o'clock last night, destroying a 4-story building on Broadway Street in Carnegie. Flames were shooting out of the roof, and heavy smoke was pouring out of the building. That building housed a business, Papa J's, on the first floor. At least one person was taken to the hospital. No word on that person's condition, no word on how many people have been affected, and no word on what sparked that fire. New this morning, a deadly crash in Washington County. It happened about 9 o'clock last night on Carlton Road in Bentleyville. The victim was 18-year-old Charles Hook of Bentleyville. State police say Hook lost control of his car and it rolled over, throwing him from the vehicle. Well, at least 3 people have been injured in a crash involving 2 vehicles in Fayette County. It happened about 6 o'clock last night on Route 119 in Connellsville. 3 people were flown to hospitals. No word yet on their conditions. The mystery of a woman who's been missing for decades may have been solved, but not before police suspected it was the remains of another unsolved case. Police suspected they had found the remains of a woman who disappeared back in 1959. Turns out it wasn't her, but it may have been the remains of a woman who lived in Pittsburgh's Garfield neighborhood decades ago, and she may have been killed by her husband. The remains were dug up in a backyard on Black Street on Wednesday. Construction crews were putting in a deck when they discovered the remains. Police sources tell us they believe the remains may be that of the body of Mary Arcuri. She lived there, but decades ago, Mary's husband, Alfred Arcuri, told police his wife ran off with another man. A year later, he killed himself. Police are working on the theory that Alfred killed his wife and buried her in the backyard. Earlier, police suspected the remains were the body of Marcella Krulsey, who disappeared from the city's Bloomfield neighborhood in 1959. Switching gears now, at least 5 people have been killed as a nor'easter barreled up the East Coast. Wind topped 80 miles per hour, homes and businesses are flooding, and millions of people are without power. CBS's Chris Van Cleve has more on the destruction from Winthrop, Massachusetts.
The wind howled and water kept rising along the Massachusetts coast Friday. Some residents were rescued by boat and even construction vehicles. A National Guard truck helped Denise Kress, her husband, and their 17-year-old cat, Sweetheart, evacuate their home in Winthrop near Boston.
The tide's going to be higher tonight, and then there's another high tide tomorrow, and I think that this time it could come up onto the first floor.
This is the second time their house has flooded this year. In the last nor'easter in January, 40 pipes burst, and they lost appliances and cars.
Can you believe this is happening again?
No. I've been here since 1990, and we've had some, water, but never like this.
The situation is not expected to get any better as the tide rises. In fact, the fire chief here in Winthrop is telling homeowners that live along the ocean here to evacuate before high tide.
Tonight could be life-threatening.
The storm toppled utility poles and trees from Washington to New York to New England, some on top of cars and homes.
Look at the side of the house. That's an old lady over there, too. She's home, but she's okay.
Crowds waited at New York's Penn Station as Amtrak and many commuter trains to New Jersey stopped running. Thousands of flights were also canceled. A meteorologist with the National Weather Service is calling this a storm we will never forget. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Winthrop, Massachusetts.
The storm is also producing as much as a foot of snow in some areas. 2 doctors from UPMC are facing felony charges. Police say Dr. Omar Al-Musa and Dr. Marios Papachristou are accused of writing prescriptions for each other's family and friends in exchange for money or non-monetary favors. Police say thousands of hydrocodone pills were illegally prescribed, and none of the people who received the prescriptions was a patient. According to the criminal complaint, the alleged incidents happened in UPMC Presbyterian Hospital. The doctor worked in the radiology department. In a statement, UPMC says the charges were the result of an investigation into activities related to their practices. The full statement reads, quote, "The charges against Drs. Al-Musa and Papachristou were the result of an internal investigation into activities related to their practices. They have been arrested and suspended." The Parkinson Foundation of Western Pennsylvania has removed its executive director following claims of possible financial irregularities. The board says Barbara Farrell was removed from her position after an internal investigation into financial issues. The board has since adopted a comprehensive financial security plan and contacted police. Right now, no criminal charges have been filed. Well, President Trump plans to hold a rally in Pittsburgh next weekend. He expects to appear at the Atlantic Aviation Facility in Moon Township on Saturday, March 10th. Doors open at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The event kicks off at 7. The visit comes just 3 days before the special election in the 18th Congressional District. The president is backing Republican candidate Rick Saccone. Former Vice President Joe Biden will also be in town next week to campaign for Saccone's opponent, Democrat Conor Lamb. Biden will make 2 appearances with Lamb Tuesday. A new report shows Lamb is way ahead in fundraising. Lamb has reported raising more than $3 million since the beginning of the year. That's nearly 5 times the amount reported by Saccone. The manhunt is over for the gunman in a deadly shooting at a university. Coming up, who's been arrested? Also ahead, good news about a busy roadway closed by a landslide when that's expected to reopen. And the stage is nearly set for Hollywood's biggest night. Stay with us for a preview of this year's Academy Awards from the red carpet. Good news for drivers who use Route 51. Sources tell KDKA crews are making significant progress cleaning up the mud and debris left behind by last weekend's landslide, and they hope to have that section of road open to traffic by late today. The hillside in Duquesne Heights gave way last Sunday and destroyed a family's home. Construction to upgrade Forbes Avenue in Pittsburgh between Uptown and Squirrel Hill begins next week. The road will be repaved, smart traffic signals will be installed, and bike lanes will be added in each direction. Work will be done on weekdays, weeknights, and weekends until October. The first phase begins Thursday from the Birmingham Bridge to Kraft Avenue. A local landslide is still sliding. It's made its way into the back of the home, and it's showing no sign of stopping. Coming up, what's expected next? Also ahead, the Penguins' Matt Murray has been sidelined with a concussion. When will the team get him back in the net? We'll need a calm and dry weekend to clean up after yesterday's storm. Thankfully, it looks like we have that this weekend. Trees tumbled down around the region and the rain caused even more landslides. In Kilbuck Township, a landslide knocked one house off its foundation and is threatening to destroy a second. KDKA's John Shumway has details.
Popping under the stress. The back wall of the Tamero family home is simply no match for the mass of the slide. Tons of boulders and rock on a gravity march.
It's been moving at about an inch to an inch and a half an hour.
It's going to keep moving. When it's going to quit, we don't know.
Already, this slide has taken the home above the Tameros off its foundation by about 20 feet. The ground is so soft, the township can't even get equipment in to tear it down before it collapses. Tamero has accepted the bedrooms and living area of this home won't survive this.
We're hoping that this is the only side that gets affected and the other half will still be intact.
And they are already looking ahead to when the slide clears through the house.
Once it exits and goes out the other side, we have a clear space to try to help clean up so it doesn't impact any of the places down below.
Tamero's Diamond Landscaping office is just across Old Camp Horn Road. And below?
I have 5 houses down below on Camp Horn Road and some businesses that would be greatly impacted also.
Roop's Roadhouse is in the direct line of the slide. Owner Tim Rupert.
I just pray to God it doesn't come down here because this is my whole life savings. If this goes, I don't know what would happen.
The township will start scooping and hauling away the slide when it hits the asphalt of Old Camp Horn Road in hopes that it never gets to Roop's back door. You stay operating until?
Yeah, absolutely. Can't afford not to.
So you'll stay open?
Yes. Until they tell us to evacuate.
John Shumway, KDKA-TV News.
A complicated cleanup in Scott Township where powerful wind knocked over a giant tree on Magazine Street. The tree toppled onto some power lines, knocking out power to the neighborhood until mid-afternoon yesterday.
Around 8:30, I think it was, my uncle came in, busting on everybody's door, saying that the tree fell down. And first I thought it fell on the house. And I looked outside and I almost thought it fell on my car too, because my car's parked right underneath the tree.
The road was closed for much of the day while crews worked to remove the tree and get power restored.
Hopefully that kind of crazy weather has come to an end and things will be drying out over the next 3 or 4 days. Temperatures, while on the cool side, not unseasonably so, will stabilize. Everything should, and at night we're going to go below freezing, so hopefully things will get back to normal and the soil will stabilize a little bit. Right now it's stabilizing. It's freezing with temperatures all in the 20s. Somerset just barely at 21 degrees. They're the cool spot, and a group of several of us at 25 degrees from Newcastle to Denora to Pittsburgh all the way out to Indiana is where Bedford's at 26. Sorry, they're the hot spot. Oh well, how could I miss it? Somerset and Bedford right next to each other, the high and the low. Everybody else is in between those two guys, and they're only about 22 miles apart. Here's a look right now at at Heinz Field and the Fort Duquesne Bridge in the foreground, West End Bridge in the background, the West End in the distant background, and what a beautiful shot it is and a gorgeous clear sky with 25 degrees right now at Pittsburgh International, humidity 85%, winds out of the northwest at 9. The barometric pressure is holding steady and high at 30.41 inches of mercury. Temperatures over the next 24 hours going to be rising nicely. We should be in the upper 20s to around 30 by 9, low 40s for highs today. And then tonight, and that's seasonable, by the way. The average high is 44, and I've got us at 43 degrees. The computer model's only coming in with 41, but the idea being that somewhere between 1 and 5 p.m. this afternoon, we could jump up to 42 or 3 degrees before heading down into the mid-20s overnight tonight. And again, that's where we belong. Those are average lows. And it's a good thing overnight to, again, stabilize the ground by getting below the freezing mark and letting things firm up a little bit. High pressure will see to it that we firm up with plenty of sunshine and dry conditions over the next 3 days or so. In fact, our next chance for showers doesn't come in here until late in the day on Tuesday, which is going to give us a good 72 hours to dry out, and we do need it. You can see in futurecast mode, we've got a few clouds to our east that will be with us, but other than that, and there'll be no precip under those clouds. Other than that, it's going to be a completely clear sky right through Sunday morning and beyond, as you'll see right now. Forecast says mostly sunny and seasonable. Our high today, 43 degrees, my old high school football number. Mainly clear and chilly tonight, 24 the overnight low. And then as we head through the 7-day forecast, 45 on Sunday, 50 on Monday, all 3 days. And this is really rare in the month of March to get 3 straight, mostly sunny, gorgeous, dry days. But we got them coming. Tuesday, Amy, 49, so we're still above normal temperature-wise, but we introduced showers back into the forecast late in the day, and there'll be a few left over on Wednesday before we cool off and dry out again on Thursday and Friday.
I'm liking that view. 3 straight sunny days, and the warm up Monday, 50.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's rare in the month of March to have that. And all of those numbers are at or above normal, so that's a good thing, too.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's going to drop a little bit. We're not out of the woods just yet when it comes to winter.
No, you're right. And it is still winter until March 21st. So those temperatures by the end of the week will be probably back where we belong. More seasonable.
Well, I'm hoping we don't have any more snow, but I'm sure we will have a few.
A little bit. A little. We're through the bulk of it right now, and we've had a normal snowfall season. So if we get another 6 or 8 inches between now and the end of April, that would not be out of the question.
All right. Well, thanks, John. We appreciate you being here.
You did a great job.
Thank you. Any plans? We're talking about the home show now.
Oh,
if you have any plans this weekend, why not head to the Duquesne Light Home and Garden Show at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. In addition to the usual booths, there's a high-tech section where you'll find a TV that turned into wall art, a self-driving lawnmower, even robots. The show runs through March 11th. Admission is $10 for adults. Jennifer Lawrence will keep you on the edge of your seat in a new spy thriller. Coming up, a preview of movies opening at the weekend box office. But first, is the worst of the flu season behind us? What health officials are saying about it. In our Health Watch, a new approach for treating teenage depression and some good news about flu season. CBS's Nikki Batiste takes a look at the week's top health stories.
Health officials say the worst of the flu season is behind us, but 17 more pediatric deaths were reported this week, bringing the number of child deaths this season to 114. Flu season peaked in early February, but has been steadily declining ever since. For the first time in 10 years, the American Academy of Pediatrics has updated medical guidelines for treating adolescent depression. The new recommendations include depression screening for children ages 12 and older, and they suggest including family members in a teenager's mental health treatment. As many as 1 in 5 adolescents experience depression. And researchers from the Stanford University School of Medicine looking at low-fat and low-carb diets can't say if one is better than the other. The study found both have the potential to trim the same amount of weight, while genetics and insulin levels may tip the scale when it comes to dieting. Those are some of the week's top medical stories. Nikki Batiste, CBS News, New York.
The manhunt is over for the gunman in a deadly shooting at a university. Coming up, who's been arrested? Also ahead, the stage is nearly set for Hollywood's biggest night. Stay with us for a preview of this year's Academy Awards from the bit.
Live from the KDKA Broadcast Center in downtown Pittsburgh, this is KDKA-TV Morning News.
Well, time now 7:28. Before we get to the news, let's check the local forecast. John, sunny today. I think I'm going to take my dog for a walk today.
I think it's a great day to do that. Better today than what we've had in the past week or so, Amy. And we've got several good days to walk Amy's dog, as you see from the looks of my 7-day forecast. One of the reasons I'm smiling, in addition to the fact that Amy's with us this morning, is we've got sunshine for 3 straight days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all day long. Here we go with temperatures climbing steadily into the low 50s by Monday. Still hanging in there near 50 on Tuesday, but late day rain showers spoil the party. toward the end, and then it looks like we'll see a few showers left over on Wednesday. Neither day will be a total washout, though, Amy, and both will be at or above normal temperature-wise. So it's hard to complain. I mean, again, when you look at what our friends to the east had, the nor'easter, and how much damage it did on the East Coast, and when you look at the mudslides that we've been dealing with lately, those will be coming to an end as we dry out and as temperatures stabilize. And overnight, we're going to be freezing, and that stabilizes the ground as well. And with no rain on top of it, we should be fine for the next several days, if not for the season.
Well, that's great, and we definitely dodged a bullet
Oh,
this
yeah.
weekend, like our neighbors, you said, to the northeast.
With that nor'easter, I mean, that was such a major storm over on the East Coast. And here, you know, again, I don't want to take away from the damage that has been done to those who've been hurt by the mudslides.
Right.
For them, it's critical. But for most of the viewing area, this was not a major event. It was over on the East Coast.
Right.
From Maryland to Maine.
Yeah, and all those people are in our thoughts and prayers.
Yeah,
so.
you bet.
All right, thanks, John. Well, the manhunt is over in Central Michigan for the suspect in a deadly shooting at Central Michigan University. The 19-year-old student is accused of killing his parents. CBS's Meg Oliver has the latest.
The CMU Police Department is responding to a report of shots fired.
The deadly shooting at Central Michigan University in Mount Pleasant happened inside a residence hall early Friday morning, triggering a campus-wide lockdown.
At this time, please shelter in place where you are.
A student shot this cell phone video as police search for the suspected gunman. He's been identified as 19-year-old James Eric Davis Jr. Police say the victims are the suspect's parents, James Davis Sr. and Diva Davis. The father was a part-time police officer.
Where James Davis touched everybody's lives in the village of Bellwood in a positive manner. The people he worked with, along with the residents of the village of Bellwood.
Authorities say Davis was involved in another incident on campus Thursday and was transported to the hospital, possibly over a bad reaction to drugs. The Michigan shooting happened on the last day of classes before spring break, as parents were picking up children. Meg Oliver, CBS News.
Central Michigan University has about 23,000 students. Parents trying to get their children had to go to a nearby hotel. Well, a new system is promising to make schools safer in emergencies like school shootings. It's called Navigate Prepared. The centerpiece is a 360-degree camera system that lets dispatchers use computers to see every inch of a school in real time and relay what they see to first responders. The Quaker Valley schools are already using it, and their resource officer says it's not just for active shooter situations.
We have railroad tracks right behind us. We have a river behind us. We got a major highway behind us. We have an industrial plant down across the highway from our high school, and we know we have some vulnerabilities here, so we need to be prepared for those.
The South Fayette School District also has the Navigate system, and West Jefferson Hills just decided to get it. A statewide teacher strike in West Virginia is a week old with no end in sight. State Republicans refused for a second time to vote on legislation to give the teachers a 5% pay raise. The average teacher salary in West Virginia is $46,000, 22% below the national average. Teachers are calling on lawmakers to impose higher taxes on the natural gas industry to fund education.
West Virginians are strong people. They support each other and help each other, and that's what we're counting on.
They're not paying anything really to take gas from West Virginia out of state for other uses, and we are sitting on a gold mine in West Virginia, and we're repeatedly told that we're a broke state.
The governor says he supports a 5% salary increase for teachers, but the proposal has stalled in the state Senate. Meantime, teachers in the South Butler School District plan to walk off the job on March 15th if there's no deal on a new contract before then. The teachers union says it's available to negotiate with the district, but no talks are scheduled. Well, the countdown is on for the 90th Academy Awards ceremony, and this year some categories include a few surprise nominees. CBS's Chris Martinez gives a behind-the-scenes look at how Hollywood is preparing for the big show.
It's Hollywood's biggest night, and outside the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles, Oscars Gold is taking over.
J'avoue, je n'ai bavé pas vous.
This year, The Shape of Water leads the pack with the most nominations, 13 in all. The war drama Dunkirk is next in line with 8 nominations, and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri follows with 7 nods.
We've had 2 official complaints about those billboards.
From who? This year, there are some surprises, including a few films that critics say wouldn't normally be considered Oscar contenders.
I think the Academy mindset is changing.
Variety magazine's Tim Gray says it's no longer only dramas dominating the major categories.
Get out! Yo!
He believes nominations for movies like Get Out could signal a shift in what's considered an Oscar-worthy film.
Get Out is kind of a horror, comedy, suspense film.
Charles, the world is not the same as it was.
Logan gets nominated for Best Screenplay, and that's a superhero movie.
In the main acting categories, Gray has these predictions.
Frances McDormand for Best Actress for Three Billboards, Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour. They seem to be clear favorites.
As for who will ultimately take home Hollywood Gold, only Oscar knows. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Leaders of the Time's Up organization say their movement to provide legal aid to victims of sexual harassment and discrimination will be recognized during Sunday's Oscars broadcast. More than $21 million has been raised for that cause. Well, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway will get another chance. The 2 actors are lined up to present the award for Best Picture at the Oscars Sunday night. They, of course, were the presenters during last year's big mix-up, getting an envelope that said La La Land instead of Moonlight, which was the winner. The 2 accountants from PricewaterhouseCoopers who gave them the envelopes were not invited back. Coming up, Bruce Willis is back in action on the big screen as a doctor with a death wish. Coming up next, a preview of movies opening at the box office this weekend. Also ahead, the Penguins goalie has been sidelined with a concussion. When will he be back on the ice? Opening at the box office this weekend, movies starring Jennifer Lawrence and Bruce Willis. Do either have a hope of dethroning Black Panther? Here's a preview of what's now showing.
From this day forward, you will become sparrows. Weapons in a global struggle for power.
Jennifer Lawrence enters the spy world in Red Sparrow. Based on the novel by ex-CIA operative Jason Matthews, the movie re-teams the star with Catching Fire and Mockingjay director Francis Lawrence. Variety reports Red Sparrow could open anywhere between $15 and $19 million, while Deadline's prognosticators predict it could go as high as $20 to $24 million.
Doc, something has happened. You can't go in there.
Dad, where's Mom?
I love my family. I failed to protect them.
Bruce Willis stars as a surgeon-turned-vigilante after his family falls victim to a violent crime in Death Wish. The original movie, released in 1974, starred Charles Bronson. The update is directed by horror master Eli Roth. Variety pegs Death Wish at a $14 to $16 million debut, with Deadline saying it could open to $20 million on the high end. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Red Sparrow and Death Wish are both rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America. Neither of this weekend's new movies has a chance of dethroning Black Panther as king of the box office. Hollywood experts say Panther is poised to pounce on third weekend numbers of between $60 to $75 million. We'll be right back. New details on a planned expansion at Heinz Field. The Steelers organization says it wants to expand its Bud Light Pub 33 area to include an outside patio along Art Rooney Boulevard. The patio would be open when the weather is nice, and you won't need a ticket to eat and drink there.
We're planning improvements to the Pub 33 area on the inside of the Great Hall, expanding it so that fans and visitors to the North Shore can come and visit us even on non-game days to enjoy some really good food and beverage.
The pub will feature casual dining. Construction is scheduled to begin in the spring and should be finished in time for the Steelers' home opener. Well, in sports, when will the Penguins get Matt Murray back in the net? KDKA's Rich Walsh has the very latest.
Good morning, I'm Rich Walsh. The Pens want to get Matt Murray back in net in a hurry, and yesterday was a big step in that process. Murray was able to practice for the first time since being diagnosed with a concussion. Murray skated on his own in full gear before the team's practice yesterday, and all indications are he is making progress and could be cleared very soon. Well, after that disaster in Boston, the Pens were back on the ice in Cranberry, trying to fix some of the issues this team has been dealing with lately, like giving up 17 goals in 3 straight losses.
When you don't have success, everybody's got to take a hard look in the mirror and figure out, what can I do to help us win. And I think that's being part of a team. But I think our leadership understands it. These guys have been through it time and time again, and they know what it takes to win. And we have a lot of faith and a lot of trust in the leadership in this room.
Well, this is a big week for the Steelers coaches, scouts, and front office personnel. The Steelers have interviews with future NFL stars planned all week, and one of those is with Oklahoma State quarterback Mason Rudolph. Rudolph is big and might be there when the Steelers draft late in the first round. The Steelers have to look for Ben's replacement at some point. Speaking of Ben, it was his birthday yesterday. Happy 36th. His teammate Chris Boswell sent out this tweet yesterday. Wanted to send Ben a happy birthday text, but didn't want to get a text back saying, "Who is this? Staying in my own lane." Pretty funny by Boswell. And Pitt offensive lineman Brian O'Neill was the talk of the combine yesterday, moving up draft boards after running a 4.840. That's one of the fastest times by an offensive lineman in quite some time, like 15 years. O'Neill impressed a lot of scouts with his athleticism. One of the guys that Steelers won't be able to draft, won't have a chance to draft, Penn State running back Saquon Barkley. No chance he will be there. He's a top 5 pick. Barkley is expected to go very high. He showed why. That speed, strength, ran a 4.440, the second fastest time for all running backs. He also benched 29 times. Penn State basketball does it again for the 3rd time this season. The Nittany Lions upset Ohio State, and that win might have put them back in the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2011. Tony Carr finished the game with 25, but had 2 big assists late in this one. First to Julian Moore with 2 minutes left. Then with 5 seconds to go, Josh Reeves, another dunk. Penn State scores the final 5 points, winning 69-68. Moves on to the semifinals against Purdue today. Well, Duquesne has one more game in Massachusetts today before the A-10 tourney starts next week. This season has been a roller coaster ride, but head coach Keith Dambrot is pretty confident the Dukes will be very good in the near future.
Well, the competitor in me won't allow me to be happy, but I feel like we're functional and competitive, which I didn't know what to expect coming. I knew with only 8 scholarship players, it could be a disastrous year, it could be a competitive year. So I'm not disappointed, but I'm certainly not happy.
WPIAL Championships at the Pete last night, 5A. Mars, Franklin Regional, that's Hunter Stonechek, drives, dishes. Aiden Sadowski, who finishes it inside. This game would go back and forth, but Mars would pull away late. Andrew Recchia with the steal, layup, and foul. Mars wins by 10. 54-44, the Planet's first WPIAL title in school history. Boys Class 2A, Olsh and Sewickley Academy, Isaiah Warfield gives the Panthers the early lead. Olsh cuts it to 3 late. Donovan Johnson on the other end of the court inside, but Sewickley Academy, nice passing and a really nice finish by David Grosh to seal it for Sewickley Academy. Back-to-back titles, 63-59. And what a game to decide girls 4A. Beavers, Bella Passett led all scores with 29 points, but North Catholic's Tess Myers was the hero. Drove the length of the court with 6.6 seconds left. Hit this shot at the buzzer to win the WPIAL Championship. North beats Beaver 50-49 in a thriller. Well, the Pirates still working through some issues in Bradenton yesterday. The good news is Tyler Glasnow struck out 6 of 13 batters, but the bad news, he gave up 2 runs in the second before exiting. Glasnow still having issues this spring. Cullen Moran seems to be fitting in. His first multi-hit game was yesterday, going 3 for 4 with a double off the wall and an RBI. The Bucks are in action today in Bradenton against the Phillies. We can continue this conversation on Twitter and Facebook. You can reach me at Richie Walsh and Bob at Katie Pomp. Let's start the discussion. That's Sports. I'm Rich Walsh. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you later.
It's a sneak peek at plans for what will replace Kittyland at Kennywood. Coming up, how Thomastown will transform that part of the park. Thomas the Tank Engine has been delighting kids and adults since 1945, first as a set of books and then on TV and in movies. Now, Thomas and all of his rail yard buddies are coming to life at Kennywood. KDKA's Ken Rice gives us a sneak peek at what Thomastown will look like.
All aboard for Thomastown. The cheeky blue engine is rolling into Pittsburgh this summer, bringing books, toys, and TV to real life.
It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor.
Kennywood made the big announcement last month about the $8.5 million addition to the park. Now we're getting a peek at what the new Thomastown will actually look like. It'll be nestled between the Raging Rapids and the auto race, occupying just under an acre. Guests will enter near the Pagoda refreshment stand into what will be the country's second permanent Thomas attraction. They'll find 4 new rides. You can fly high with Harold's helicopter, go up Cranky's drop tower, fight fires with Flynn, and climb aboard the Diesels. The rides are the same as the only other Thomas-themed amusement park near Boston. The old Kennywood Railroad will be the highlight, though, as aspiring train engineers, young and old, board for a journey with Thomas. The 7-minute ride will weave together stories and songs from the show. And speaking of shows, a live-action show called Steel City Adventures will share the story of how Thomas made the voyage from the island of Sodor to Pittsburgh. It'll feature other popular engines like Gordon, James, Emily, and Percy, 4 of the trains of Tidmouth Sheds, along with, of course, Sir Topham Hatt. Your little conductor will also enjoy a Thomas-themed birthday party center, an indoor soft play area with a jungle gym.
Down the hills and round the bends, Thomas is fresh.
Ken Rice, KDKA-TV News.
Oh, Thomas. You remember
That's
Thomas.
cute.
You grew
I
up with
do.
Thomas, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so did my kids.
kids
Now
did
my
too.
grandkids are growing up with, and my grandson, my youngest grandson, Nathaniel, calls him, he can't say Thomas, he calls him Bujush.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where that comes from, but anyway,
cute.
we're all going to be going to Kennywood.
Yes, we will.
To take part in that event. Here we go with the look, folks, at a fabulous forecast. As you can see, next 3 days, anytime you get 3 straight dry days in the month of March or April for that matter, you got to count your blessings. 43 today, 45 tomorrow, 50 on Monday. We stay mild into Tuesday, but rain comes in that afternoon and sticks around into early Wednesday, then cooler, drier weather by the end of next week.
All right, thanks, John, and thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day. CBS This Morning is next, and our local news is in just 25 minutes. Get the latest news, weather, and sports anytime on your computer, phone, or tablet at KDKA.com, where KDKA is always on. And don't forget to like and follow KDKA on Facebook and Twitter.